Okay, Brother Captain, we just waiting to get a notification. One moment. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a special edition of Off the Record this evening. I have a great guest who I'm honored and very humbled to have come have a conversation with us. Brother Captain Wali Muhammad, thank you for coming and taking some time out of your busy schedule, sir.
Oh no, brother. I'm very honored and extremely happy to be here with you as well as your wonderful audience. Thank you for the honor, brother Joshua.
Yes, sir. Excellent. Thank you, sir. And my sister Maryam says, Assalamu alaikum, family. Wa alaikum salam, Mimi. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
grown woman.
Yes, sir. Okay. I have a quick. Okay, boom. Thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming in, and I thank you all for submitting your questions. I'm looking at my inbox and DMs now. Thank you all for your questions. Brother Captain, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by his minister. It was the fall of 1983.
Yes, sir.
And actually, the first message that I ever heard in my ear from his lips was the life of Jesus.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Wonderful. And why did you accept the teaching, sir?
That's a great question. You know, Brother Joshua, every time in the Supreme Wisdom, every time God asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad why, he had to answer because. Because when you ask why, it determines the motive of the person.
Yes, sir.
So that's an excellent question, and you kind of hit me in the kidney with that. But that's great because I accepted the teachings because I felt that I loved Black people, but I knew I was not equipped to demonstrate that love. And in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, instantly I heard a man that loved Black people, that introduced me to the God of Black people.
Yes, sir.
And then was the most excellent example on how to demonstrate true love to Black people. I fell in love with him instantly.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. Yes, sir. And from that moment, when you did you join the nation right like in that time period, or
yes.
Yes,
oh
sir.
yeah. I heard him in September of 1983. I saw him in December, and right away got my letter, right away wrote it, and in a few months I was a registered FOI. That was June 9th, 1984.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Could you please help us put us in the mind frame of what it was like in Chicago in 1984 for a FOI coming in the ranks?
Oh, brother, it was my first Savior's Day was Savior's Day 84, which was titled, I believe, Unity, a weapon more powerful than nuclear bombs.
Yes, sir.
And it was at a place that we call the Richard L. Jones Armory. And it was a great historical event. This was where Brother Muammar Gaddafi spoke to the Nation of Islam via a video call that Saturday night. In fact, about it, there was a great rally for presidential candidate Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. Reverend Jackson was running for president. And so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as you heard, he pledged the support of the nation to back the brother.
Yes, sir.
So some of us were around Reverend's home on security, as well as there was a great mixture between the nation and Operation Push in them days. So it was an exciting time. And right during that time, or right thereafter, that Savior's Day, was the controversial message with Reverend Jackson, of course, referring to the Jews as Jaime Town, and the black reporter Milton Coleman reporting it, putting the Reverend on blast, and then the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan going to defense of the brother and saying to the world, you know, in another time period when we come to power, men like this will be punished as traitors.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Also, he was facing the full wrath of the Jewish community for defending Reverend Jackson. And of course, ultimately, Reverend Jackson denounced the apostle of God, which was, you know, it was not a big thing at all. But it was that time period. In fact, I got to tell you this, and your audience, I know for a fact that he and us were receiving threats from members of the Jewish community. They had vowed to attack him at his headquarters. So as he was teaching this in the community, it was the community that came out and formed a perimeter around the Final Call building to make sure that nobody come. Today, it looks like it never happened, but it is in fact part of our nation's history, brother. So that's kind of some of the climate. That's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you all for watching. Brother Captain, I want to stay right there. I don't want to move forward. So you're saying that the Final Call building was where the minister was doing the teaching at that time?
Oh, yes. We didn't have the mosque. In fact, he never called the Final Call building the mosque. It was always referred to him as the Final Call administration building. Yes, and there was a weekly broadcast every Sunday at 2 p.m. And the Final Call only held 700 people. So it wasn't a big place at all. But the radio broadcast just reverberated throughout Chicago. And in those days, we had what we called telephone hookups, where the various cities could gather around in their meeting places, and through the telephone, they would blast it in the speakers in their respective mosque or meeting places. But it wasn't no webcast. It wasn't none of that. Those were some very great times.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sir. And thank you. Walaikum salam, Brother Jimmy Davis. Brother Ernest says, E4, my brother for life, one of the truest brothers you will ever come. GBE Memphis, walaikum salam. Brother David Ali, something like Brother David. Yes, sir. So Latasha, ASA, walaikum salam, ma'am. Okay, Brother Captain, I have a question. What was it like for you in those times? I want to go to Jesse Jackson. When you all were protecting him, what was it? How was his spirit, and what was that like during that time as well?
Well, there was a sense of great Christian Muslim unity. Reverend Jackson had decided to run for president. He had asked the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, of course, for his help. Reverend Jackson was blessed by Allah to go to Syria. America had attacked Syria with some of her fighter jets, and the Syrians shot down one of the jets and captured a black man who was a pilot named Lieutenant Goodman. Lieutenant Goodman was a hostage. The Syrians called him a prisoner of war. Reverend Jackson, of course, asked the apostle of God to travel with him, and that delegation was blessed by God to return Reverend Goodman or Lieutenant Goodman back to his family. It was a big thing. So there was a great sense of Muslim Christian unity. It was a lot of pressure on Reverend Jackson, but you know, we were at Operation Push all the time. In fact, Brother Joshua, there was an album of 2 sermons that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did at Operation Push that he made into an album. And on the album cover, you might have seen it, was Reverend Jackson and himself in a brown background. And the title of the album was called Our Time Has Come. Now, another tidbit with respect to Chicago and in the nation at that time, you also had the mayoral campaign and the successful mayoral campaign of Harold Washington.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
At Operation Push, with the help of the Apostle of God, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So it was a great sense of movement. It was a great sense of get upness in our community. And it was an exciting time, brother.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. Thank you, Brother Captain. I want to just say, Walaikum salam, Sister Tracy. Thank you for always watching. Brother Ronald says, looking good, Brother Captain. Brother Ernest says, there was so much love during them days in the morning telephone hookups. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. What was it like for you first meeting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, sir?
Well, I remember I had about the amount of hair I got now, except it was more voluntary.
Yes, sir.
And I had a beautiful red cardigan sweater and a red bow tie. And I like red because he had taught that red meant war.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
I love wearing the red.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I had this red on, and we were in the back of the final call, which is to the old timers affectionately known as the kitchen. And he came downstairs. And this was in the spring of 1984. And he said he was with Brother Jabril. And there was a brother named Brother Richard, 3X, Richard Muhammad, great lieutenant in the early days. Brother Richard used to sell these fish sandwiches. So the Apostle of God came down with Brother Jabril, and Brother Jabril, he said, Brother Minister, would you like a fish sandwich? And the Apostle of God said, I don't want no damn fish sandwich. He said, it better be some food when I get home or it's going to be hell. And then he says, who is this mighty warrior right here? And I was, wow. Well, I was like melted.
Yes, sir.
I stuck my hand out. I said, my name is Brother Jack. He said, I'm honored to meet you, Brother Jack. I said, no, sir. It is my honor, sir. A few months after I got my ex, Josh, there was a big spread in Life magazine. And in Life magazine was a great write-up on him and some very beautiful color pictures. And I was permitted by God to be on post that day at his home this was before he got the palace.
Yes, sir.
This was at 9415 South Damon. To some of you old timers, you remember when you wrote your Savior's letter, it was addressed to 9415 South Damon. So we were on post that day, and Life magazine took these pictures, and it's been some sort of trip. Some sort of trip.
Wonderful. Praise be to God. Thank you for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family. And thank you all for watching. Can we go? I want to go to who was training the men when you first came in, and how was that training, and how did that help you sustain over the years?
I recited to then student first officer. His name at that time was Brother Ralph. He is now known as Brother Sabir Omar Muhammad. Brother Sabir, he made me recite my student enrollment from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top. He said, I ain't never seen this before. Well, I didn't know what he was talking about. All I knew was it wasn't nothing gonna stop me from getting my ex that day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm getting my ex, so I don't care if you want me to recite sideways. I don't give a flip.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm joining the FOI today. So Brother Sabir was the trainer, the first officer. In those days, Brother Joshua, you had still many of the great pioneers from the first who were responsible for the training. So there was a lot of things directly that we got from the FOI who were in the ranks prior to the departure of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I could tell you, brother, I would sit at their feet for hours listening to the war stories and the training. And after Brother Sabir was moved from the post, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan made Khalid Abdul Muhammad the Supreme Captain / Minister of Defense of the Nation of Islam. And this was the fall of 1984.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So Brother Khalid, of course, became the primary person responsible for the training of the men who belonged to Islam in North America. He had a great staff, some brothers you know, but it was, as Brother Ernest said, it was a wonderful time of love because we were a very small group. It wasn't a whole lot, it wasn't hundreds and hundreds of men, no. It was a small group of men, and we just stayed together all the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All the time. And I'll say this last point, then I'm quiet, bro.
No, sir. Take your time.
You felt bad in those days if you had to leave to go to work. Today, it's a badge of honor. I'm going to work. No, you'll never build a nation on a damn job. That's not how we're going to build a nation. You got to be free, black man. Free yourself.
Yes, sir. Excellent. Okay. What was it like when you when the minister and the nation finally got the mosque back?
That was July, I believe, 3rd, 1988. He opened the door on the south side of the mosque, what is known as the 74th Street side. And I have to tell you in truth and in humility, I was right on his right shoulder. And when he opened that door, after he went in there, I went in there. That is a fact.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then he may dispute it, but as your dad used to say, back up and live, come forth and die. Try me if you wanna, but you're not gonna win because it is the truth. Yes, I'm sorry, it's not in your favor. I'm so tired of some of you who are revisionist Jews. You're trying to revise the history of the Nation of Islam. That's why I'm so proud of my little brother for seeking the real accounts of the history of our nation. Damn with these revisionist Jews.
Yes,
did I say that?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
I did.
Yes, sir. Okay, so y'all coming on the 19th. The whole time I never knew that.
Walked in, the mosque had no chairs. It was astroturf on the ground. That very thin green carpet, like was in the Astrodome. It was in deplorable condition. The gas was off everywhere. There was the stench of urine in the school, but it was home. It was home. And that was July 1988. In fact, it's interesting you asked me because I found some pictures recently of the first renovation during 1988. Black and white pictures that Brother Carl Muhammad, who was the project manager for the first time and the second time, he took these pictures and he made me a copy of some of them. Stuff I sent one to E6, a couple of them.
Yes, sir.
Mind-blowing pictures, brother, of the real renovation of Mosque Maryam. The apostle, he dedicated it February of 1989, so it was an 8-month renovation period.
Mm. Okay, excellent. And thank you all for watching. Okay, Brother Captain, what was it like when the minister and the nation finally got the palace back, or what is known as the National House?
Well, that was in late 1985.
Hmm.
That was after having secured a loan from Brother Muammar Gaddafi to produce a line of beauty care products, which he called Power.
Mm, mm.
Power was an acronym for people organized and working for economic rebirth.
Mm.
And when the home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad became available, the apostle of God petitioned Brother Gaddafi if he could divert some of that money for the purchase of that home. And that is how he was able to purchase what you all call the National House, but we will always call it the Palace.
Yes, sir. Yes,
The
sir.
Palace, which is the home of a very distinguished person, a ruler, a king, a person of eminence.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderful, sir. Okay, Brother Captain, 1 second. How did you come up and come in the ranks and become a captain? What was that process like?
uh, you know, Brother Joshua, that's a difficult question to answer because the great minister Abdul Rahman Muhammad, when I got that assignment, he says to me, he says, Jack, let me tell you the same thing the messenger of Allah told me, brother. He said, Allah makes captains. He said, but you choose your own lieutenants, and some of them devils, brother, some of them devils. So I accepted what he said to be the truth, that Allah chooses captains. So I didn't have anything to do with it, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What the process was like, I could tell you some of my history, and I can tell you of the many brothers who I loved, who I looked up to, who I had deference for, who aided me along the way. Men like then Supreme Captain Brother Frank Muhammad, now known as Brother Ali.
Yes, sir.
Great steady hand of the Nation of Islam. A man so steady that when your dad was overseas with the apostle of God, and there was great concern that America was going to imprison him on his return, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan installed Brother Ali Muhammad, then known as Brother Frank, as a Supreme Captain, as a steady hand, just in case that took place.
Praise be to Allah.
And I became his assistant as I became your dad's assistant when they both served in that capacity of student Supreme Captain.
Praise be to Allah.
Brother Ali trained us as a lieutenant, a squad leader, put us on the team, actually helped to form the security team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And of course, I noticed on social media, my brother, your brother Amir, posted up a picture of his dad, the great Abdul Salim Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And there is no security team without him.
Yes, sir.
He really is the father of it. Of course, there was your dad and brother Captain Akil, but Salim was so skilled in so many different areas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just made it happen. Whatever the situation was, if he was cooking, if he was going in the kitchen, if he was driving, if he was escort, if he was security, he did it all, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
Those men were in my life. And there's no way you would even want to consider anything I got to say at all, were not for many, many brothers. And yeah, many sisters too.
Praise be to Allah. I'm glad you said that, Brother Captain. Can we stay right there with the sisters? And thank you all for watching. Brother Ernest says, Brother Wali saved my life. I will always be eternally grateful. And he also said, Brother Ali is a great man. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Brother Ernest. Brother Captain, you said many sisters. I had the sisters come on to share their stories and share their views from their viewpoint. Could you please say some of the sisters and how you saw it as a strong man and captain in Chicago? What were some of the sisters and how did you handle that, during your tenure, sir?
Well, first there was, first. There was and his mother, Khadija Farrakhan Muhammad, who for whatever reason took a liking to this young fella. There was, of course, Mother Tainetta Muhammad. May Allah be pleased with her. I had many, many, many conversations with her, and she shared very powerful things, and in truth was always in exclamation over what she heard come out of this fella's mouth with respect to understanding of the teachings of her husband and, of course, his servant. Those two, of course, stand out, but there were more. There was Sister Patricia Muhammad, who passed some years ago, wife of Brother Benny. She worked at the Final Call building. There was Sister Ruby Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sister Ruby came up to me in 1984, just what I thought was out the blue, looked me straight in the eye and said, brother, Allah don't want you just saying your prayers. He wants you to talk to him.
Yes, sir.
This was 1984. So it was that caused me to not just go through my prayers in a ritualistic manner, but I try to have a conversation with the Lord of the world, because that's what he told me, I believe, through my sister, Sister Ruby. And there was Brother Ali's wife, Sister Alima.
Yes, sir.
There was a wonderful, wonderful MGT who was ready to thump right along with the brothers. An example of that you'll find in the Madison Square Garden message. Those sisters, some of those sisters were from Chicago. The wife of Brother Leota's Sister Valerie, she was on post that day. Another sister who lives down in the ATL now with you that you don't know nothing about, named Jovita, fair skin with glasses. She was a vanguard. Yeah, she right down there in the ATL right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
She now is I believe, a seamstress.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm familiar with her.
Yeah, but
yes,
you
sir.
didn't know what she did though, because she'll never tell you.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
But the sisters were ready to defend him and the nation, brother, at any time. At any time. And so we really were a family. We really were a family. We were small, but we were very close. And that is something that those who have witnessed that kind of love need to stand up and fight to reestablish again today.
Praise Allah. Yes, sir. Okay, can you please put us in the mind frame or your mind frame when you received your holy name, sir, and what were the circumstances behind that?
Well, I first was given by Allah through his servant the name Muhammad in Phoenix, Arizona. It was in September of 1992.
Yes, sir.
The apostle of God had just came back from Los Angeles to deliver a talk to the believing community, the Western region. The talk was called Pathology of Hypocrisy. It is in that message that he declared to us that Abdul Wali Muhammad was murdered. And that someone close to him had been putting small dosages of poison in his coffee. And the poison built up over time and it killed him. This is not hyperbole. This is not some empty statement. In that talk in LA, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told us that he hired a forensic pathologist who went into Abdul Wali's remains for 8 months scientifically and found the root cause of his demise and his murder. So when he came from LA, I was fortunate to be on the plane with him, and it was in the home of Phoenix that he gave me the name Muhammad. And then he actually grabbed me by the hand like a girl and walked me through every room in the house in Phoenix, Arizona, and showed me every room. Yes, why he did that, I don't know. But now the name Wali Muhammad was given coincidentally in Los Angeles at the Believers Meeting for Savior's Day 1993 called Healing the Wounds.
Yes, sir.
And he did that at a Believers Meeting at Compton Community College, and he said what he said. And I can tell you this, after we got back to the hotel, he went in again on this fella. The things he said, I don't necessarily want to repeat them now, but they were very moving, and they're the basis of holding on to what I know is the truth today, and the reason why I know I'm obligated to defend him no matter what. Not defend him ignorantly, but to prove the rightness of his position and the correctness of his word that he has been given from God Almighty and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, Brother Captain, I know many times from most guests that come on here, 95% don't want to speak of themselves because that's not something I understand that. Everybody wants to be humble. But for the sake of history and the future generations, could you share a few words of what he said into why when he gave you your name, just so we can have a better understanding of the time period and to who you are when you bear witness to him?
All right, Joshua, you twisted my arm. It's only because I love you immensely. I'm gonna do it. When prior to that Savior's Day, he would say to me, he said, "Oh, I got a name for the Big Jack. Oh, I got a name for the Big Jack." I didn't know, what he was saying. I never asked him for a name, unlike some today. I wrote a Savior's letter. I asked him for a name. I didn't ask nobody else. But he would say that, and maybe a little while before that Savior's Day, he said to me, he said, "I got something for you in LA." He said, "I got something for you." And, like Jesus said, your thoughts are not my thoughts. I'm from above and you're from beneath.
Yes, sir.
Well, beneath, I'm thinking some money. We're going to be 100 or what we going to do? We going to pretend? I'm like, man, whoo, Lord knows I had just got married. I need money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And, well, what he did is recorded. It was the name of the talk to the believing community was "Make Room in Your Assemblies." I believe it was 10/8 or 10/9, 1993. But when we got back to the room, I will tell you this. He said, "Come here, Jack. I mean, Wali, sit down. I said, "Yes, sir, brother minister." I'm wiped out now, Josh, because he gives me the name in front of the whole nation of Islam. And he said he was naming me after our great one. I don't just wear the name Wali. He named me after Abdul Wali Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So he says to me in the hotel, he says, "Wali?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I want you to know that I know that you have a great mind. He said, I want you to know that. I said, yes, sir. He said, and I want you to know that I have always admired you as a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, I have always admired you.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
And now I'm done. He's gone. He says, I want you to keep quoting God and his apostle. I want you to keep quoting them. Now I'm gonna stop for a minute. Why would you tell me that if I didn't know what I was doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, because whether we know it or not, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes him speak. And it is through him that authority is given.
Yes, sir.
So he was authorizing me to do what I do the way I do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
I'm sorry. I'm not making this up.
Yes, sir.
It's just the truth.
Yes, sir.
And he said, and keep studying the Holy Quran, brother. Keep studying it. I said, yes, sir. By that time, he said, now come on, let's have dinner. But I gotta tell you and your audience, it was too much for this fella. It was too much. I got up out of that room. I went to my room. I got in the corner. I wept. I called my wife. I couldn't go to dinner. It was, a lot of people like to put on these airs. I'm not one of them. I really try not to be. I have a problem. And my problem is like my teacher's problem. I don't think much of myself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I couldn't handle what he was saying to me. So I couldn't be in his presence no more that day. And I knew he understood because the next morning when I saw him, he never said a word to me about not being at the dinner table.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I knew he understood his brother.
Yes, sir.
So it wasn't for you all that like to be judgmental with your silly self. Man, how could you not be at the dinner table when the mess shut up? I done forgot more than what you'll probably ever learn in the next 10 damn lives. So that's what it was like, a little bit, brother.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Thank you for your sacrifice, sir. And once again, the sacrifice of your family. Thank you all for watching Off the Record. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, The People's Podcast. We have a great guest with Brother Captain Wali Muhammad. I would like to say that this podcast is sponsored by my sister Maryam's book, ABC I Love Me, which is on Amazon. My brother Rashad and his business partner Jamal, street premiere. They do video editing and they're getting very good at it. And also my second book, which is on Amazon, Cleopatra, is a children's book. Please get that. Thank you, sir. And thank you for the break. All right, Brother Captain, let's get straight into it. Did you ever receive personal death threats while you were in your tenure in Chicago and in the mission?
Yes.
Yes, sir. And could you go into that and how you overcame those?
On at least 2 occasions, there were men who were outside of my home. I had a problem which caused me not to be around for a while. And because of my, whatever people thought that I was to him, there was rumor that I was some betrayer, some agent, some hypocrite. So there were men who were dispatched to kill me. And I believe it to be true because the brother who was dispatched told me, you know, them confessions where you crying and the boogers is coming out and the snot and it's uncontrollable. Well, he was talking like that. And he told me that he was told that when he saw me to lay me down because I was an enemy to the messenger of God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Second time here recently, a member of the nation, I have to say, who has a position of great responsibility as well as influence, said this, and ain't no equivocation, because I wrote the apostle of God and I reported it to him with the statement from the brother on transcription as well as his voice recorded on CD. Because I know how to make a real report.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This brother said to a group of 10 to 12 construction contractors that he knew for a fact that there was a time when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was going to personally kill me. He said this. Now, some of you may say, well, that ain't no big thing. Well, first of all, you got to know who said it. And then you got to know who he was talking to. And then you got to know as a believer that if the man who raised you from death into life was personally going to kill somebody, that person at the very least is an enemy.
Yes, sir.
So that's putting the seed of murder in the heart of these men for your brother. And I'm just going to be very candid. I wrote the apostle of God and I asked him, I said, if this person is allowed to say this while you are yet present among us, what will he do in your absence? I said, am I to suffer the fate of the man that you named me after? Wali Muhammad? I asked him that. So that's two occasions that I could think of off the top of my head. In my mind, were very real and very substantive.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, the second one, I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. But the first one, could you please explain to me how did, when you saw him crying, why did he stop? Like, how did you prevent yourself from dying?
Well, this wasn't during the time he was given the assignment.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This was afterward. Maybe a couple years later, I ran into him. And then he confessed.
Man. Yes, sir. And can we go back to the brother Abdul Wali situation with the poisoning? For those, like, I didn't know. I mean, I heard behind the scenes, but I didn't know this was like a public. Everybody knew. I just thought it was like a kind of a secret situation. When he was poisoned, what was it like for you all who was on security or serving in the military, serving in the nation, to as far as drinking coffee, and was y'all paranoid? Like what? How did his death shift your thinking? If it shifted your thinking?
No, it very much did. In fact, I was with your dad. We were taking him home. And we got a call that Brother Wali was in the hospital. And we turned around and we went to the hospital where he was at. And we met the apostle of God and now Supreme Captain, Brother Mustafa, at this hospital. And we saw Abdul Wali Muhammad on that metal table laid out. It was a very sad time for me personally, because I worked with Wali at the Final Call. I actually worked at the Final Call newspaper, actually making the Final Call newspaper. I worked there. I actually made the paper. In those days, it was called keyline paste up, where the paper comes out of the typesetting machine and is put on a sheet called a galley, and you put it on there with wax and you lay it on a sheet, and all the lines and borders in those days, they were literally done by hand with tape. So the paper, when I say made the paper, I mean that in the most literal sense. It was handmade, each page.
Mm.
And Brother Wali and I, after we got done, we would take it to the palace, not the National House.
Yes.
And we would take it to the palace, and we would sit in the car going to sleep while the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan reviewed it, previewed it, and then gave us his blessing to go and take it to the press where we watched it get printed. This was in the mid to late 80s. So Abdul Wali Muhammad, I found his home in my hometown in Harvey.
Mm.
He and I were taking cable access courses in 1985.
Mm.
Put the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on cable access channel. He was my brother and my friend, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when he was murdered, I saw his wife, and she told me that for 18 months, she didn't even go outside.
Mm.
She was in absolute, complete depression. I haven't seen his children since they were little. I haven't seen them since 1992.
Mm. Mm.
When the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did the sermon that I referenced earlier, Pathology of Hypocrisy, he told us, he said, you want to trust one another, but you can't even trust yourself. He said, watch who's bringing you coffee. Because the person that killed Wali was somebody he trusted, and they brought him his coffee every day. Now, I'm telling you, brother, there ain't but 2 or 3 people that I know brought him coffee. In fact, that question of who killed him was so great. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan would tell us that when he got on the wheel again to meet his teacher, he said the first thing he was going to ask him was, who killed Wali?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it changed for me everything, because there wasn't no such thing as going to get me no food no more. That's BS. I don't need you to go get me no coffee. I'm good. If I can't bring it, I don't want it. Because we had a murderer in the ranks saying assalamu alaikum every day and giving my brother, his brother, coffee, man, and killing him, and knew it.
Yes, sir.
He said they murdered Abdul Wazir Muhammad too, the great accountant and national secretary. He was murdered too. I found his body, brother.
Mm. Mm. Okay, but Captain, can you please clear who Brother Abdul Wazir Muhammad is for people who may not know? You say so. You're saying he was the national secretary or a national accountant?
In the history of that position in the rebuilding work of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan,
Yes, sir.
I know you've heard him say that Mother Khadijah was the first secretary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That, of course, is a fact.
Yes, sir.
Then I believe it was Brother Abdul Wahid Muhammad. Abdul Wahid Muhammad in those days was known as Brother William JX. He was the assistant supreme captain, and then he was made the national secretary.
Didn't know none of that. Yes, sir.
After Abdul Wahid Muhammad was Abdul Wazir Muhammad. His name was Juan Mazir from New York. He was the husband to Sister Captain Emeritus Aisha Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
They were both from New York. So he served in that post in the mid 80s, I believe, right up to or very near the first renovation. And then student minister Rodney Muhammad, who now is in Philly, was made the national secretary. So Brother Wazir had a work ethic unreal. He would get into the final call building about 8, and sometimes he wouldn't leave till after midnight. And I would literally make him get up and go outside. Say, hey man, I'm gonna bust you up. And he would literally go outside and, like catch some light, get a coffee. He was such a hard worker. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And can you say, so you're saying you found his body? Could you explain that, please?
Once again, the Supreme Captain, your dad, he called me. He was out of town and said, man, he was getting reports that Wazir hadn't been to work in a couple of days. So he told me to take a couple of brothers and go to his house and find out what's going on. When I got there, student minister Ishmael was there. And I said, get away from that door. Don't you go in there. I'm going in there. And he, yes, sir. So I went in there, but I went in there with the mind of not knowing if my brother was delirious or not. And I knew that out of everybody that was there, nobody knew him longer than me. So I went in there calling his name out, that even if he was delirious, even if he had some sort of weapon, he would know who it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
'Cause I didn't know what his mind was. Because Brother Wazir, thorough Muslim, real FOI. So I searched the house. I'm calling his name. Hey, Waz. Hey, man, it's me, Jack. Man, what's going on? And finally, I got upstairs to the bedroom, and there was our brother laying on the bed, naked from the waist down. His pants and undergarment were by his knees, and it told me that he was trying to get dressed to go. He didn't make it, and he laid back on the bed, and you could literally see the last breath on his face. And then I went outside and I told him that he was in there. Y'all do what you got to do. And I left. That was in 1992 as well. So in 1991, 92, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was under attack. The enemy attacked his staff of helpers. They murdered Abdul Wali. They murdered Abdul Wazir. And if you remember, you was a lit homie. They shot at Brother Captain Emeritus Akil Muhammad. That was in the fall of 1991. And for the students who are listening, go and find the lecture. I forget the name of it, but it was October 91, where he talked about how he took the attempted murder of Brother Akil personally.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And of course, brother he told us how he drove. He wasn't looking where he was going. His head was buried and he was just driving. Yes, jumped over fences, running. He got 1 or 2 bullets still in his body today, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, that needs to be known. Everybody has some measure of sacrifice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But there are some who have sacrificed more than others.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you had that happen around that same time. Then, of course, we lost 2 soldiers from Chicago in a horrific traffic accident or crash coming out of Atlanta again, 1992. Our brother Stephen and another soldier were killed in a horrific van crash. And let me say this real quick, bro. I was with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at the funeral home. We looked at their remains, and he was teaching us and me. He was reading the faces of the brothers. They laying there. These are their remains. But he's reading their faces. And he's telling me, he says, see, Jack, see here, look at the trauma on his face. He saw what happened, brother. He said, see the lines across his forehead? He saw what happened. And I'm listening to him. And you got it in your lessons, you all that like to read, but don't really read well. The civilized man is one who teaches knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, refinement. What? The pursuit of happiness and what? The science of everything in life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's how we know we're dealing with a truly civilized man. He is teaching us the science of everything in life. What a blessing, man, to have been around and taught from him and learned from him and sup from him and watch him. Those of us who've been fortunate like that, we got a responsibility beyond everybody else. That's why you'll never catch Wali dead. You'll never catch me down. In your best moment, in my deepest sleep, you won't catch me down. Hell no. Because I've been looking at a man for 36 years, Brother Joshua, who has done nothing but thought about black people. Period. Don't even tell me I sacrifice. Telling me I sacrifice compared to him is like passing gas in a hurricane, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you imagine 200-mile-an-hour winds and you pass gas and you say, oh, excuse me, brother. What the hell are you talking about? It's 200 miles an hour. It's gone.
Yes, sir.
That's how our sacrifice is compared to his, brother. It's nothing to speak of.
Yes,
so I thank you for those words, and I know you mean it, bro.
Yes, sir.
But really, man, please.
Okay, excellent. I wanted to say this, Brother Damon, I thank you, sir. Brother Jacques, I thank you. Brother David, Brother Janelle, Brother Ronald, Sister Miriam, beautiful history. Thank you for your dedication. Brother Jimmy, thank you for your service in your nation. Thank you for all of you all for watching Heavy. Brother Aaron says, all praise to Allah. My brother Wali, Brother Aaron from Chicago, who has a coffee shop, Akira's. Please support. Brother Aaron is always supporting us as well. Thank you all. Yes, sir. Brother Captain, what do you do for fun?
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us in Closing the Gap that for the righteous, fun is learning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's my fun. I don't see fun as being frivolous, anything like that. I don't have the time.
Yes, sir.
And
yes,
let me say this, bro. You know, we as Muslims, we got to really look around and really study the man that God has blessed us to be in front of us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We are all descendants of slaves.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, they asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad what was the source of his humility. He said, I come from an enslaved people. We got to stop tripping. Just a few days ago, somebody in my family was an actual slave. I don't have no damn time to waste.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't have no time to be silly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, I understand fun, but fun is learning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There ain't no bigger fun for the righteous than that, because I cut the food. I know what that's like.
Yes, sir.
That's why as Muslims, we don't talk about dead life. Because to talk about dead life is to turn you back toward it. Let the dead bury the dead. That's what Esau ibn Maryam said. Yes, let the dead bury the dead. Let those in the dead life bury the dead life. The hell with it.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. What was your greatest trial while serving in our nation, and how did you overcome that, sir?
I don't know if I've overcome it. And I see myself as serving up to this very minute.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
And I want to say this to your wonderful audience. I want to say this to you all, especially to the young people. And I want you to listen carefully. There is a difference between having a post or position and having authority. They're not the same thing. You can have a post, but you may not have the authority that comes with the position.
Mm.
Because all authority is actually from Allah God himself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the only way that you'll ever have authority with me is if I know unquestionably that you love me.
Mm, mm,
So if you don't love me, miss me with your authority. It ain't happening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you can have a position, but not have the authority. And you can have complete authority and not have no position.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did that make any sense?
Absolutely, it did, sir. Absolutely.
So we got to stop tripping while we striving for positions. Be careful. But my greatest trial is those twins, envy and jealousy.
Mm, mm, mm,
Envy and jealousy.
mm.
Envy over what somebody may perceive that you have from Allah, because they fail to come to prayer, come to success, come to cultivation that leads to success. See, we don't want to really cultivate ourselves to become better and to struggle and to dig deep and to find what gift God has given us.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
we
sir.
hate the one that got one.
Yes,
But
sir.
you don't know the pain of the person that's manifesting his gift. You don't know what they had to go through.
Yes,
You
sir.
don't know the sleepless nights and the tears.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So envy and jealousy, brother, is not only my trial, but it's yours.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anybody that's trying to manifest a gift or talent from Allah is a recipient of, or a victim of, or the focal point of envy and jealousy. But if we just believe that Allah didn't rob not one of us and work to cultivate, to dig, to find what did he put in me that makes me unique. When I find that, I'm not worried about you. I'm happy for you, but I'm not upset with you because I'm trying to shine myself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Last point. I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teach. He said, I don't see stars. He said, how in the hell can you see a star when the sun is present?
Mm, 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 mm.
He is the sun.
Yes,
He
sir.
is the light of our world. And since the light is here among us, sorry, I don't see no stars.
Yes, sir.
So don't think I'm going to treat you like a star. I don't see men as trees. I see you as you are, my brother. You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And thank you all for watching. And thank you all, and thank you for your transparency, brother Captain. I have just two more three more questions if you have time. I want to say that you helped me tremendously with this interview. A lot of the viewers, I'm sure you helped others as well. But I just wanted just to tell you that when I was younger and my siblings and I were younger, you would often protect us, or I would see you as a protector of my father, my mother, or my family. But like many of us, when you're children, you don't understand what you're saying, that people were dying in 90s. Nobody's understanding death threats in that climate. All I thought about in my immature thinking was we couldn't go to Subway, we couldn't go across the street to Burger King, and we couldn't hang out with everybody like everybody else. So it was a lot of resentment towards my parents not understanding that people were really dying. So I thank you for, better, explaining this, that, damn, we could have got killed during that time, but we were just running around trying to play video games. So I thank you for your telling of these stories, because it helps us understand. It's not just me, but many other people understand the strictness of us at MUI and all around the nation. Thank you, sir. What was it like? Brother Ernest called you E4. What was it like when you were E4 and you were moving in that? What was that climate like during that time, sir?
All right, E1. Brother, your dad and I shared an apartment.
Mm.
Oh, you all got your home. Actually, Brother Ernest and we looked for his home, and I was fortunate to find the home that y'all lived in Woodridge.
Okay.
But before y'all came to Chicago, he and I shared an apartment in a place called Lake Meadows. And it was in that apartment your dad, Brother Ernest, and me were meeting. And this was in the spring or summer of 1991. He hadn't quite been installed as the supreme captain, but it was closely approaching that time. The installation took place 5/27/91. And it was called Make All Men and Boys Join the FOI. My brother Jameer was there also.
Yes, sir.
But we met in that apartment, and he was telling Brother Ernest that he was bringing me on the staff. And it was there that Brother Ernest coined the phrase executive, account executive. That's what E actually is. It's not escort. We were always the escort team, but Brother Ernest came up with the name E, short for executive. I was the first account executive. Brother Ernest was the supreme captain's chief of staff, if you will, administrative assistant. I was the first account exec. In fact, Brother Joshua, I did all the regions. There wasn't nobody before me. Nobody did it.
Yes,
it's
sir.
the truth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is the truth. And anybody that disputed, I dare you to come forward. You'll be lying. So we called all the regions, all the captains, all the mosques in the nation for months while we were working to recruit others. Brother Tada was next. He was E5. Then came Brother Melvin, Brother Sadiq, E6. Brother Hamza, E8. Then so on, Brother Sultan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's how the account exec started. But the first one was me. In fact, as Brother Ernest would make up the awards, I was known as the senior account executive. That's
Okay,
just a fact.
Yes, sir.
And
Excellent.
if I'm lying, he want to correct me, but I don't believe I'm lying.
Praise be to God. Yes, sir. My sister Maryam says, yes, thank you so much, Brother Wali, for everything you've done for our family and for our nation. Brother Abdul Rob says, Walaikum salam. I was not going to say anything because you put my mind back to my beginning in this work. I thank you, Brother Wali, for the history you gave today. It's very valuable and needed for what you do. I love you, and he wants you to know it. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Abdul Rob, please check your inbox, brother. I've been trying to interview you as well. Check your inbox. Okay, yes, sir. For Brother Wali. What advice or words, if you can reflect on any all the time you was with the Most Honorable Mr. Farrakhan, is there something that stuck out in your mind that made you such a strong believer to this day? Something that he may have said off the rostrum directly to you that is one of the reasons that you are such a strong believer today?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a strong believer.
Yes, sir.
I would say that I hope that Allah would manifest me as a strong believer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I will say that I used to wonder, of 7 billion people on this planet, why was I around this man? I never thought myself worthy. I never felt like I earned it or I deserved it. I never felt none of that. I felt unworthy. I felt filthy. I didn't feel deserving. After a while, I knew that I wasn't on security. And that's something that my young brothers got it twisted. You're never on security with him. Where he is, it is in fact and in truth the safest place on earth, period.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God damn it, you ain't securing him. He's securing you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In fact, the word security, the root of it is secure, and one of the definitions is to be free of doubt. How in the hell can you secure a man like that when you don't even believe as he believes? Stop it with the fantastic foolishness.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would say, brother, to get into the word, I think that that's something that he saw in me, is that I really loved his word. See, because if the word don't have no value, then ultimately the man who bears the word don't have no value.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So as he said in Atlanta a couple of summers ago at one of them conferences, he said, we don't study deep enough and we don't love deep enough.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jesus said it. He said, lovest thou me? Well, everybody wants to say, yeah, feed my sheep. Shut up. He said it twice. Lovest thou me? Keep my commandments. And the scholars say commandment is another word for my words. That's how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad knew that his minister loved him above all of the other ones, because he kept the messenger's word pure.
Yes, sir.
He
Yes,
could
sir.
recite it verbatim, anywhere, anytime, with anybody. He could always tell you what his teacher taught with mathematical precision.
So, yes, sir.
So I would say to the young people, stop being superficial. You can never love God and you don't love his word, because in the beginning was the word.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you're not going to get to the man and skip the word. The word is first. I would say study hard. And last point on that, respect the supreme wisdom. I used to study, Josh. I used to write my answers down to Laws Found Muslim lesson number 1, questions 1 through 14 every day for years. You hear me, bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I used to write the answer because in the lessons, the messages say, copy the answer of Minister Elijah Muhammad. That's what I did.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then his minister said that the lessons represent a key to unlock the hidden meaning of Bible and Quran, and they represent a key to unlock the hidden powers of the original people. Now, what's the hidden powers, brother? You don't even have a clue.
No, sir.
But if you study your supreme wisdom, write the answers down just like he said, they're going to open up things in you for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You feel me, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the key to longevity is to hold on to the word, and then you will grow in love and respect for the God of the word, the messenger of that word, and the people that the word is designed to resurrect.
Yes, sir.
That's the key to hanging on.
Praise be to Allah.
Listening to a tape is not understanding the teachings. That's a tape.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, did you hear the tape? No, I read the book. Allah didn't say, listen in the name of thy Lord. He didn't say, watch in the name of thy Lord. He said, read in the name of thy Lord, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So the key to longevity and to grow in faith is to let the word guide you. Then Allah will send you through circumstances of the vicissitudes in life, the ups and downs, that no matter what, you holding on. I don't give a damn what happened, man. I want to be with him to the end. He told me this recently, and I'm quiet. He said, Wali, he said, I got a lot of people around me today. He said, but you were with me in the beginning. What? To call him, brother, and he picks that phone to write him, and they respond right away. That's a little something there.
Yes, sir.
So I thank you, my brother, and I am so proud of you, your sister, your brother, all of y'all. I've been knowing your parents since 1984. When your dad came to Chicago to work on the minister's home at 9415 South Damon. Him and Block, or also known as Brother Akil.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They were pretending like they were construction people. You tell him I said that.
Yes, sir. I'll let him know. Oh, he's watching. You know he's watching. You know he's watching. Yes, sir. Okay.
And your mom, what a soldier.
Praise be to Allah.
What a soldier. No, brother, I'm proud of you all. And I thank Allah for you all of y'all. No matter what, we all been through a lot. But at the end of the day, man, I heard the apostle of God say this. He said, what are we arguing about? He said, is Allah God? Is Muhammad his messenger? Is it the time of the rise of the black man? Is the white man the devil? He said, what are we arguing about? See, we ain't got no differences. We got different expressions from the same God.
Yes, sir.
I could never be Brother Joshua. Never. Allah says in his Quran, he said, what is the matter with you that you hope not for greatness from Allah? See, to be a believer and not expect to be great, something is wrong with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You feel me, bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any believer is supposed to know that they're going to be great.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Because how could you be great and not be great? And Allah, if he's the greatest, that means he's expecting you to be great, but you'll never be the greatest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That makes sense?
Yes, sir. Perfect sense.
Praise Allah.
Excellent. And I want to just thank everyone again for watching and tuning in. Please like and subscribe. If you want your business advertised, please message me or send me a sponsorship to J Imagination, and we will definitely promote you in your next podcast. Brother Captain, I don't want to hold you any longer. I have one more question. What do you, and thank you again for your great words today. What do you want your legacy to be, sir?
Well, I want to be like my father. I don't worry about that kind of crap.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Legacy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He said, what did he say when somebody asked him that? He said, his best days are yet in front of him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, that's how I feel.
Praise be to
God.
God.
See, you all don't know him because you don't listen to his word and don't pay attention. He said, it's not so much that I can say something new to you. It's just that you haven't been listening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got a nation of people with wax in their ear. Not paying no mind, not paying attention. No, brother, we don't worry about legacy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that they would embalm his body in a way that it would last for 10,000 years. He said, and after that, the gods may do with it what they please. Think about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then you want to talk about legacy. Master Fard Muhammad could recite the history of the planet Earth day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year for the last 150,000 years. You can't even say what happened last Tuesday. What the hell we talking about a damn legacy for? Shit. Don't get it twisted. Let's put this work in.
Yes, sir. Praise
Let's join on to that which will live forever. That's the nation of Islam. Let's not, when the winds blow, let's not be like a reed in the wind and be blowing and ain't got no stability. The only way you can handle the trials of life is if you got a faith in God that's unshakable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you ain't gonna get no faith unless and until you get more into that word and let that word guide your life. Listening to a tape is not getting into the word. Sorry, Charlie. That's an introduction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Negroes can listen to tapes. In fact, they got a lot of stuff on YouTube Negroes watch.
Yes, sir.
They ain't been made there for a while.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
I hope that my answers were not way wild and way off and unrelated to your wonderful questions. I did my best, brother.
Brother, it was excellent. This is it was amazing. I want to thank you very much, brother. I'm telling you, I know you just from the responses of people who were liking and commenting, but also just me personally, this was a win for me because I learned so much of the foundation that we stand on today. And I just thank you, brother Captain, for your spirit and man, and for your work and for the work of your family. May Allah continue to bless you. I love you. My family loves you, and the believers love you all around the world, sir. Thank you for coming on Off the Record, brother Captain.
Praise Allah. It's been my honor. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Walaikum salam, brother Benny. And thank you very much, Sister Mimi. All right, walaikum salam. All right, assalamu alaikum.